Hello, everyone.
Hello and welcome. We are your co-hosts. You see us both. We're actually waiting for our guest. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I'm the founder and dean of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, and you are in the Adventures of the Heart, building wisdom through experience. And I'm just so excited. Every time I come here, I'm so excited to be here. Because, you know, and you should be as well, because there's so many other places that you could be. And you elected to be here with us tonight. And it's going to be an awesome conversation with my so before we get into that piece, I want to go ahead and let our co-host say hello and tell you who she is and what she's been up to this week. And hi, Cynthia.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for being here at the Adventures of the Heart. And I am Cynthia Gardner ONeill, one of your co-hosts here with Lynn Hawkins. And we have a fabulous show for you today where we're going to be learning a little bit about our own self-care and how we can make it a little bit easier for us to, you know, go through our challenges with our health and everything, with our doctors and all those things, and how to make it a little easier. And, you know, the reason why we bring this all together at Adventures of the Heart is also because, you know, I'm the founder of the Center for Loving Consciousness. I love bringing loving consciousness into the world to help raise the consciousness so that we can live in a better place. And it's all happening. It's happening now. And I've created some courses and some programs that are called Harmonics. You know, the harmonics of the heart to help harmonize life. And, you know, I've come together in this new heart venture, is what we call it. Lynn Hawkins and I came together because our hearts connected and brought us together because we both had so much we wanted to do for the world. And we both really wanted to revitalize the human spirit, you know, through our hearts. And it was just speaking this language of love to us and saying, yes, let's get on this show and bring some people in who can really show people how to connect with their hearts, learn more about who they are. And we're just excited to continue this whole adventure with you. And we are so blessed and grateful that you are here joining us and giving us this opportunity to share this kind of information with you. Now, Lynn has something really special to share with you that we have coming up here really soon with some great classes and trainings. And so I'm going to turn it back over to her because she is going to, you know, really describe these things and tell you all this exciting information that we have to share with you to help you make your life even better. So come on in, my partner.
Thank you, my dear. It is such an awesome pleasure for me to announce that we're doing the first Heart Ventures Masterclass. It's our Fulfilling Your Potential Masterclass series. And the first Masterclass is called Connect. Our Connect Masterclass is actually scheduled to be held on Thursday and Friday, March 26th and 27th. It's actually a 2.5-day masterclass. So March 27th day is a couple of weeks later on April 17th. That's a Friday. But the program and the programming is awesome. And I don't just say that because it's something that Cynthia and I created, but I say that because it's something that people have been asking for. How do I connect with my potential customers and clients, my avatar, my ideal customer? And how do they connect with me? So we're going to spend 2.5 days bringing you this information. We're going to help you to stand more fully in who you are. We're going to have Chief Robert and Terry Talltree bringing you the perspective from the Native American wisdom. We're going to have Matt Pearlstein talking about emotional intelligence. We're going to do heart virtues. We're going to do story leverage. We're actually going to help you harmonize your business. And we go from there. Once you connect, what do you do? What do you look like when you connect? We're going to be talking about branding. We're going to be talking about setting up your vortex model of doing business. We're going to talk about how you can enter this space of social entrepreneurship. And we're going to talk about how you can do some really effective social sharing. We're going to tell you, I don't know if you got an opportunity to watch the Biz Info Zone show today. We had Jason Hodge on, and Jason walked us through his five keys to optimizing YouTube to not only grow your list, grow your tribe, grow your community, but also grow your revenue. And we're going to do Blog Talk Radio. We're going to do all these things so that you can be better at connecting with your ideal client, the person who has not found you yet, and connecting with those that will see you in order to be attracted to you. So we're so excited to have this coming up. Once again, let me give you the dates. March 26th and 27th, and then the half day is on April 17th. Wanted to wait until after tax day. And we've got some amazing people coming to you to share this information. Now, with that said, I want to let you know that Adventures of the Heart is something that has been so near and dear to Cynthia and my's heart in bringing to you that we felt that we couldn't just stop there. And we wanted to find the individuals who not only talked about things that we've already gone through, like emotional intelligence and just some of the things that we've already done. We wanted to bring to you someone who is in the space of the heart, a person with heart who's very close to and in the business of the heart as an organ and as a multi. She is not only the wife of a cardiac doctor, she is one who is looking at asking herself the question and bringing it out into the community. How can I do more to help people to connect with their doctors, to connect with on their path of wellness? And we call her, she's actually been dubbed Mrs Cardiology. And she's over here right now making a lot of noise trying to get her camera situated.
Well, at least you can see my forehead. Well, at least I got a computer working, and this house has too many computers and too many issues going on. There, that's better.
We want to do better than that. There you go. We've got a much better view of you there.
Yeah, I propped the camera on top of a tissue box. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
That's what we always say here at Adventures of the Heart.
Yes, we do.
Just be in your heart, and we're all good.
Well, Mrs. Cardiology is the caring heart. She is the wife of a board-certified cardiologist and patient care coordinator for Dr. Pandit's private practice. And she's opening her heart of caring to care for not only her family, she's a caregiver within her family, she also cares for the patients that come to Dr. Pandit's office. And she's here today to share the truth about things. And we've had some major conversations about what is patient responsibility, what is the doctor's responsibility, what is medicine, why use medicine, why do we use medicine as a crutch, why do we rely on medicine versus relying on organic, more natural opportunities for healing ourselves. And then she likes to talk about taking people on their adventure to wellness. And so we want to welcome right now our guest, Sunita Pandit. Hi, Sun.
Hello. How are you ladies this evening?
Great, and we're so happy to see you. Yeah, and Sunita, can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell everybody about yourself and
Tell us,
why we've
tell
actually
us about you. Yeah. How'd
why
you
you're
get to
here.
be the doctor's wife who cares about her patients so much that she wants to help them on their journey to wellness?
Well, it came from an experience that was too close to my heart. My father, it'll be 15 years ago on April 4th, literally died in my hands. And he died due to symptoms of congestive heart failure. His heart failed. And being the father-in-law of a cardiologist, my husband had a very hard time accepting that he was gone. Was expecting him to last a lot longer than he did. And along the way to that point, I was one of his primary caretakers besides my mother. We did not put him in a nursing home. We had nursing care come to the home. And I still remember the agony of a lot of things that even as a doctor's wife, as a practice manager, my husband being a cardiologist, there was still a lot of stuff we just didn't know about caring for him or helping him go through the whole process of being a patient. And medicine has made a lot of strides, but there's a part of medicine that is still falling flat on its face, from my perspective. And that is that there's not enough time to treat the patient as a person first. And so I find that the more I tell the patients to have their support team available at all times, the support structure needs to be there to hold their hands. And because of the economy of scale of what's happening in medicine, the nursing care is not the same as it used to be 20 years ago. There's not the same number of people available to care for the patient. And so the family members have to show up and be there. And that was my own personal experience that led me to the concept of creating MrsCardiology.com. And it's been a bit of a personal growth, personal struggle, trying to hone in on what exactly I need to talk about or cover, and how do I really help not just our patients, because that becomes on a personal one-on-one level, but in more general terms. There's a lot of people affected by heart disease, and how do I reach them became the question. And that's how I ended up creating MrsCardiology.com. I've been doing podcasting with it on TalkShoe, so that I have a channel there, and I am redoing my website because I have honed in, because of your help, Lynn and Cynthia, I have honed in on what exactly I need to be doing so that I can reach the largest number of people that need the help. And there's something I need to share with you ladies. Earlier I was on Facebook because that's one of the ways my brother communicates with me, and a puzzle came up. One of those circle the word puzzle, and it says the first 3 words that you find is what's going to happen to you in 2015. So what's the first word I see? Come on, guys. Adventures of the Heart. I see love.
Heart. Okay, heart. Yeah, love.
And then I see, was love, heart. Is it? No,
Love.
love, heart, and youth. And it was just the right combination of words. It was like, well, yeah, I met Lynn and I met Cynthia this year. I mean, we've known each other for a little bit, but this was the year that we needed to connect. And I have to compliment both of you from my audience that's going to hear this and your audience that's listening to this. It's all your fault, both of you, that I'm able to do what I'm doing now, okay? If Lynn hadn't come out with the permission movement and given me permission to do what I got to do and do it, and Cynthia hadn't taught me how to breathe from the heart, I would not be where I am today right now. And the transformation has been phenomenal, has been extremely life-changing, to the point where I can't look at people that I know on a regular basis the same way anymore. I can point out the people that are not thinking and working from their heart like that. And I'm able to just grab people and just simply say to them, I need to share something with you that's very important. I need you to calm down by closing your eyes and just concentrating and visualizing your heart and breathe from it. And don't do anything else. That's all I want you to do for me. And that everybody just looks at me totally stunned. And they are actually, in their mind, you can see that they're visualizing doing it. And they actually try it and they do it. And there's that very understanding, slow head shake that goes on like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm counting on you. So, Cynthia, you started a movement. Okay. You have started a movement. Lynn, you have started a wave. So we're going to be riding the moving wave.
Yes, it absolutely is about, I mean, if anybody has heard me say, I start with a lot of times and end with, breathe deep into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday. This, taking that time, and Sunita, thank you so much, because I want to hear more about what comes from you asking them to do that. What comes next after that? When you ask them to connect in their hearts and breathe from their hearts, what happens? What happens to people when they actually do it? Does things change?
There's a sense of calm upon them. I haven't gotten feedback yet because I've just started doing it since last week, because it hit me that, wait, if I can get affected, everybody can. And it's a matter of reaching out to them and being able to tell them that, hey, you can do this. It's not like you have to go to school, or you don't have to go to a therapist for 8 sessions. You don't have to spend hours on end learning something new. This is something that you're born to do. You just have to be sort of nudged and gently reminded, hey, you know, come on, you guys can't see my elbow going. It's like I'm nudging people like, wait, do this now.
Now, Sunita, I know also you have a little more story about, you know, your family and being a caretaker and everything, and, you know, integrating this new, you know, it's not really new. This is actually ancient wisdom, you know, to be in our hearts. There's a lot of stories about that's where, you know, we came from, where we mostly honored the heart rather than the brain. Even they have stories about in the in Egypt when they mummified their leaders and things like that. And what they did is they actually tossed the brain away, and they, you know, did something with the heart to honor the heart and you know, the connection with the all, you know, the oneness of life. And so I found that really interesting in history to hear those stories of ancient wisdom and how the heart was just revered back in the day. And so we are bringing that back, and I know we're seeing more of that in the healthcare system. And I think it's really important to bring that back, and also in caretakers, because, you know, when I say breathe deep into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday, that means, you know, it needs to start with you.
Yes.
That peace and love must start inside of you before you can help others. And when you do that, you are helping others. That's what a lot of people don't realize, because we've been told, oh, that's selfish to take care of yourself first. Well, as you've heard, when you get on an airplane, you know, and they say, hey, when you're going down and you know, the mask drop down and you put it over your face, you got to put it over your face first, even if your children are there, because you're not any good to your children if you're dead.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We've heard that. So I know you've had an incredible life. That's why we have you here, because you have so much to share with us about how you've continued on and really made a difference, not only in your family's life, the patients at your husband's office, and how you just give of yourself. And tell us a little more about that.
I'll tell you one way I give, and you're going to giggle. I make a hot lunch for my husband every day, and I take it to the office. And his friends will catch me come in and say, first couple times that they began to get the whiff of what was going on, it started out with my mom cooking lunch and my dad would drive it in, because it's only 3 miles away. Nobody thought anything about my dad coming there, but then they saw me coming in with it. What's going on? I see you quite often bringing lunch. I said, yeah, I bring him hot lunch. And they're like, you're spoiling him. I said, I am. I thought I'm doing my part of the commitment to marriage, that you take care of each other. And they were looking for more information. I said, look, it's like this. If I keep him well nourished, then he's not as stressed when he's taking care of the patients. So am I spoiling him, or am I allowing him to serve the people that he's there to serve and take care of? And even now, people will smile and giggle, but that's what marriage is all about. You can make a commitment and you go for it. But at the same token, it's funny because then he's so used to me doing it, and no, don't call it spoiled, but he's so used to me taking care of his requirements of eating that he'll go away for a meeting or something, and I'll get a call from the restaurant. Honey, what should I order? I'm like, well, where are you? Well, I'm at P.F. Chang's. I said, ask for the tofu chicken lettuce wrap. You'll be fine. He's like, okay, click. That's what you do. You're there for them, just like he's there for me. If something happens and I have a question to ask, he answers. He doesn't question. There was a few times where he says, will you quit asking me the same question? I said, I don't like medication, so just tell me what I'm supposed to do. So he's calmed down about that. But my commitment to him comes from the heart, because my dad taught me something. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but you have to realize that it was important for him to be there for me because we have an arranged marriage. And so I remember growing up, my father taught at the university in a small town called Indiana, Pennsylvania, and a lot of professors and visiting professors and students have been to our home for meals. And one fellow stopped and asked my father, Gopal, how could you have married Saroj not having ever met her before or talked to her even? He had seen her once, but never talked to her, and just decided you're going to get married. And my dad put it in his terms, and he said, you Americans, you fall in love, you get married, and then you spend your lifetime falling out of love. We get married and spend our lifetime falling in love. And I thought, Dad, you can't really say that. There's a lot of good marriages here in this country. But it may have been the person he was talking to that it was appropriate for. But at the same token, it was left a lasting impression on me that marriage is a commitment, and that it's a clap that happens with both hands. And if you do your part and your partner's doing his part, you will have a good marriage. And it's not to say that ours is perfect. I mean, he's got 2 left feet when he dances. Okay, I was expecting a dancer. So he does the same move with all the music, no matter what the music is, but he gets up and moves. He dances when I say, let's go dance. And I lead if it's a slow dance, because he has no clue what to do. He doesn't care. He's like, okay, that's fine. I'll lead. So
that's the kind of stuff that leads to a healthy heart, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And then as far as the caretaking is concerned, we have a son, or we have 2 sons, and our oldest is severely handicapped with cerebral palsy, which is a Latin term for brain damage, which causes your muscle control to be damaged. So he is wheelchair bound, he can't do anything for himself, and on top of that, he doesn't have speech capability. So he was born that way, and he is a healthy 33-year-old now. He's medication-free because of nutritional intervention. But I learned when he was 9, I found out at 8 months, and in the 9th month when we've had several appointments with therapists, one therapist gave me the best advice she could give me. She said, don't treat your son like he's special. Try to treat him as normal as possible. Do not put him in a gilded cage. So I've tried and strived to do that with the understanding that my job was to give him the ability to reach his potential. And the only way I knew I could do that, because this kid is nonverbal, was to constantly put myself in his shoes and wonder, if I were in Sachin's situation right now, what would I be needing? What do I need? Well, it got to the point where the kid doesn't need to tell us anything because we're doing everything for him. So then I had to stop and step back and say, no, wait, I have to teach him communication. What happens when I'm gone? And so now I demand communication for him. My mother thinks I'm the worst mother in the world. I don't feed him on time. I said, Mom, I'm trying to get him to talk to me. Now she's doing the same. She's expecting him to talk. And you ladies have heard him communicate. When we get on our group calls, our mastermind calls, he wants to do the talking. Now I have to like, Sachin, it's my turn. So that has led me to be a little bit more sensitive to people because I always tend to put myself in their shoes. Does that answer your question, Cynthia?
Yeah, and you know, so much that you shared here, and I want, you know, anybody who's out there who's listening to this, watching this, how important what was said by Sunita here, you know, about relationships, you know, not just marriage, but also with our kids. You know, this is even in partnerships and businesses and everything. When you come together, and Lynn and I, we call this a heart venture, okay, that we come together, and it is about giving and to one another, giving and receiving, both ends, okay? That creates harmony. That's balance, having the two, where you're looked to bring your value and you have something to contribute, and we have to find our value inside ourselves, because if you're feeling inside yourself that you're not valuable, guess what you're going to attract to, you know, someone who doesn't value you. We really got to get in this place where, you know, Sunita was talking about with her husband, that she brings the food, you know, to help him sustain a happy, healthy, you know, little bit less stress-free when he doesn't have to worry about the food and everything, so that he can take care of his clients, his patients. And, you know, it just goes down the line. This is what life's about. This is what compassion and kindness and all these things are about. It is about, you know, the love of one person can change the lives of many. Even if you have one great relationship with another person, that person's having a great relationship with another person, and they're having a great another person, another person, another person. It just goes down the line. And as Lynn and I talk about, when two or more come together, and we've heard that in Scripture, two or more come together in my name, you know, this is with everything. But when you come together, be who you are. Be who you are. Give of yourself. And the way you give of yourself is your heartbeat is the signature sound of you. There's no one who has who you are. No one has that unique heartbeat. You are here for a reason. And it's really important that you know that your contribution is really needed in this world. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Everybody has a contribution. Everybody is, you know, matters. You all matter. You're very valuable to this world, and I want you all to know that, you know, please, you know, if you're having any difficulties too, you know, understanding and wanting to find more self-esteem, more value with your life and everything, you know, please contact us. Get a hold of us. We want to support you in whatever way we can. And that's why we had Sunita here, because she has some real life experiences that I know so many of you are having in one way or the other. And this is so important, the heart venture. Got anything to say to that, Lynn?
Absolutely. And you touched it. I mean, you actually said it. Heart Ventures, the reason why we came up with the name Heart Ventures was because we recognized two things. One, when the heart makes a connection, it's a solid connection. When you're coming from your heart, when you're giving from your heart, you're also receiving into your heart the love of others. And the other thing is that Heart Ventures actually says a lot about what the potential is for the way that we're communicating, for the things that we're communicating out. And, you know, we're bringing, our desire was to bring people to this audience that could help them see the perspectives of the heart, the different perspectives that all come back to the one, it's heart. And, you know, we talk about world change and how do you change the world, but to help people to understand more about how doing your work from the heart, having your conversations from the heart, building relationships from the heart, taking care of yourself from the heart, taking care of others from the heart is really what will make such a huge impact on the world. And I know, Sunita, you and I have had the conversation, and Cynthia, about how so misunderstood the heart is.
Yes.
The heart is felt to be an organ that is less important, and I'm going to say it, less important than the brain. The heart stops, everything else stops. If the brain stops, you can still keep everything else going because the heart can still function. So, why don't we talk a little bit about the importance of really having a healthy heart? And I love the way that Cynthia kind of leads into that conversation with, the heart being the first cell upon conception. And Cynthia, why don't we take it from that perspective and then go into seeing what with some of the patients that come through Dr. Pandit's office.
Okay, so did you want me to go through the information about the heart so we can share that?
Yes.
Well, and that many of you who do show up and come here, and we so appreciate you all coming in and receiving this information. I think it's really important to hear it more than one time because it really teaches us more about being who we are and how important our heartbeat is. So the heart cell, the embryonic heart cell, is the first cell upon your conception, and then there are other cells that begin to be made, which are for the organ, the heart organ, such as muscle cells are needed to pump the heart. All those kind of things. There's neurological cells, and I don't say neurological brain cells because it's neurological cells because the heart is the first organ, okay? And then upon the organ, the heart being created, the next cell for the next organ is the brain. That's the amygdala, the limbic system. That's where a lot of the emotions and stuff, between the heart and the brain. So, and everything starts in the heart and then goes to the brain. It starts in the heart first, and the heart is 60 times more amplified than any parts of our body, and 5,000 times more electromagnetic. So what's in your heart, what you're putting out from your heart, is coming back to you 100 times plus. How about that? And then the heart is the central communication center of every single cell in the body. Every single cell. I want you to really think about that. Every single cell. So brain cells, they're affected by the heart. Okay? Breast cells, when we have cancer, cancer is the disease of the cell. Now, if the heart's communicating to those cells, what's in your heart is what's communicating to those cells. So if you're in discordance in your heart, there's going to be some discordance in your body because your heart's going to be communicating that discordance. And how we stay in harmony and in coherence. And coherence is love. Is when we are in loving consciousness, when we are in compassion for one another, when we are kind and empathic, empathetic with each other, just loving one another, and accepting who we are. That's what is so important. To the state of your being, let it be love. And Sunita, there's no one more that I've ever met that, has that place, in your home and how you feel about the patients at your husband's practice and everything, and your sons and all that you show and what you shared with us. So I want to know what you've learned from meeting, Lynn and I, like you've spoken of a few other things, and how it has supported you and what you're already doing. How, knowing more about the heart, how has it enhanced your life even more?
It sort of puts the pieces of the puzzle together for me. It's like I should have known this, but nobody taught it to me like you two do. There's a lot to be said about just understanding the simple truth that the very first cell that's formed is the heart cell, then the brain. And when you think about it, when my father was very sick, he had, because of the congestive heart failure, his organs were failing, and he ended up on dialysis because his kidneys were failing. And the kidney doctor said to me, "We'll keep your dad going a long, 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 long time. What worries me is his heart." That's the organ that means the most. That's it. I mean, that's what you got to be able to take care of. Everything else we can functionally get on track again. And that statement stuck with me. There's so much pain going on at that time that there's a lot that you want to just bury and forget. But that, for some reason, was a statement that stuck with me, that made the heart an important part of your whole being. And the other parts, Cynthia, you mentioned, there's a lot of electricity in your heart. There's a lot of energy there. It's not just the fact that it's energy, but your heart is an electrical device.
We're all energy.
It's not a joke when you rub against a piece of nylon or something and you zap somebody. That's because you're electrical. I mean, it's not just static electricity sitting in the nylon. You're the one creating the electricity. And the whole concept of coming from your heart in your care is shown in that walking, talking person I live with here. My husband is very soft-spoken. You've spoken to him. You guys probably barely heard him when you were talking to him, right? That's how he was the first time I met him. But when he is in his office or when he walks into a patient room, the door closes for privacy, and I'm walking by, and all of a sudden I hear his voice, and I stop dead in my tracks. I'm like, "Is that my husband?" And the medical assistant said, "Yeah, that's him." I said, "I've never heard his voice that loud before." She goes, "Oh, well, that one's hard of hearing." I'm like, okay. So he gets boisterous. He gets excited. He shows the patient that he's excited to see them. He never asks them how they're doing. So how's your golf game? Or how's your grandkid? Or how's your so-and-so? And they all keep asking me, how does he remember that stuff? I don't know. It's a talent he has. But because he asks them from the heart about their family, they express a lot of stuff, and he's able to pick up that they're either doing okay or they have a problem. And that opens the door for them to open up to say what they're really talking about and what's happening to them. And he by nature of having been through training in India, he's a diagnostician. He can diagnose even long distance. I've seen him do it, where people are talking to him about, "Oh, she's going through this and going through." He says, "Did anybody check XYZ?" And they just stop dead in their track. No. Why didn't I think of that? And that's exactly what it has always been. He's able to pinpoint it. And so when you're working for somebody or working with somebody, I don't work for him, we work together, but when you see him in action like that, you get inspired to do the same. And the more, like you said, it's a trickle effect. The more I take care of him and his requirements, he doesn't know how to type. So he has everybody else doing the typing for him in the office. The more we do for him, the more he can take care of the patients. Where it counts.
And I'm going to, because we started out talking about, and even in our, the information that we put in introducing the show is about, patient care and how a lot of doctors don't have the time to give to their patients, to get to know them. And I love hearing that, he genuinely cares, for their personal life. It's not just about them coming in and they go, okay, focusing on the illness. And this is something I found in my own practice. I worked with a lot of chronically ill patients, and they weren't patients of mine, but they were turned into be clients or actually very close friends. In their place of, like, MS was one that I really remember so well. When I was introduced to him, and he was bedridden and everything else, and just hated life. And, the caretaker said to me, I can't, I'm having a really hard time with this person because he just is hating life and treats me crappy, and I don't even want to take care of this person. I don't want to be here for this. And I came in saying to him, what is well about you? How's your day? I didn't come in there focused on him having MS. I focused on his life and what made him happy and what felt good, and helped him find out what his contribution to this world is, that he wasn't, there was not, that, because he felt unworthy. He didn't feel like he had anything to contribute to life. He just wanted to lead this life and everything. And so my intention when I came in there was to help change where he's at. Now, it wasn't about me bringing him back to this perfect health or anything. My intention was to help him find who he is, his wellness that he had within him all this time, and to change his quality of life from where he was at, to enhance what already is. And I hear you and you're, doing that with your husband, and you guys taking on that responsibility. And that's another thing we were bringing up, is how we can help people be more responsible for their own health and well-being. And so I'm just going to ask you to speak a little bit to that, Sunita.
The main concern he has when he's taking care of the patients, and this is something I've been hearing from him on and on and on, and we've tried multiple ways of trying to alleviate this issue, is that he's a coach, he's a guide for patients that walk in the door. And just imagine if you're trying to coach somebody and you have no idea what the heck's going on with them. You have no idea if they have 2 hands and 2 feet, so are you coaching somebody that has all 4 limbs, or are you coaching somebody that is limbless? That's a basic question, right? If you don't know what their capabilities are, you can't coach them. Inevitably, we always have a patient walk in that doesn't know what medication they're on. How is this doctor going to help you if he doesn't know what you're already doing or what your status is? It's always been a big concern of his that they expect him to take care of them and make them all better, but they don't give him the complete story. So I put a tip sheet together for you guys to have for your, audience. And a part of the thing that I'm going to be doing for your folks is that when they come to the link that you'll give them, is that I'm going to give them a session with me to talk about what stresses them. And these 5 tips are going to be in a PDF form where I guess what I titled it? How to Make Your Doctor Succeed.
Huh?
It's a pretty simple statement, right?
I
How do you
love
make
it.
them succeed? And therein lies a major problem, in that you're asking a person to do a task without all the information that they need to make a proper decision. So then you end up with mistakes happening. Especially when people are traveling, it drives me nuts. He always ends up at the hospital with the patient, visiting from out of town because their grandkids are in Pittsburgh, and he simply says, okay, what medications are you on? And the wife says, oh, wait a minute. She reaches into her purse and she pulls out the pill box. And he's like, okay, but what is in the pill box? Because it's got the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday written on it. So she's got his week-long daily pills. That's all they need because they're only there for 3 days. But he had the heart attack during the first day he was there. So by the time they get the records from Houston, it's a week later. That's not good for when the doctor needs to treat him right now. So if you take on a basic responsibility for yourself, just like you are required to carry that insurance card, because otherwise people don't see you or take care of you, you must, I think it should be made policy that you must carry your current medication list. You should carry your current last report from your doctor, so there's a status on you, so that if something unfortunately happens to you, the medical person taking care of you has a baseline to go off of. They basically need a snapshot of who you are right at this moment. What medication are you on? Have you had any procedures done to you? Have you had any operations? Are you dealing with, habits that you really shouldn't be dealing with? I mean, are you a smoker or not? That's a big question that all doctors are asking their patients. And, they're getting penalized if they don't ask the question, are you a smoker, and then put them on some sort of remedial program. If the doctor doesn't do that, they get paid less. So the doctors are getting hit by the government to take care of the patient, but is the patient stepping up to the plate and doing their part? You
Yes.
cannot walk into our office and say, okay, here I am, take care of me. We can't. We don't know you from Adam. How are we supposed to do the job? Well, the other doctor has it in his computer. Well, honey, his computer doesn't talk to my computer yet. And we don't know when they will because the programming isn't there yet. So I'm pushing for educating the patient. And you two led me to that term, educare. We want to care for the patient by educating them that they need to be their own best advocate and learn to take care of themselves and take an active role in that.
Wow.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because there's so many places in our lives where, you know, we step up to the plate to take care of ourselves. You know, we don't want anybody to jump in front of us in line. We, you know, all of these other places in the world, yet we go to the doctor's office and say, you know, my symptoms are this, this, and this. Give me something. Make me feel better. Instead of actually looking at the first thing being, if your symptoms are this, what might you be doing to cause it? You know, we don't take the responsibility to go to the cause. We just mask the symptoms.
Yes.
And I'm just so enamored by the number of people who say, you know, I don't even want to spend the time to figure out why this has been caused. I just know it's here. And I don't understand that, and I'm looking for a way to help others to come to that too. I know that in business we have the same issue. You know, as a business coach, someone comes to me and says, you know, I'm not making enough money in my business. I want to do this. I want to do that, and you know, I end up asking, you know, the 101 questions in order to find out what it is that they are doing that is the cause of what it is, where it is that they are.
And I bet you asked the same question that I like to ask everybody. What do you want?
That is truly one of the first questions.
I've been asking that of the patients. I've been asking that of reminding my husband to ask the patients that, you know, what do you really want? And don't just tell me I want to get better. No. I want to know details. I want to walk better. I want to be able to sleep better. I want to do this. Give me little goals, and then we can work with you to help you figure out how to get to that goal. But just to say make me better, well, I don't even know what's wrong with you yet.
And I'm going to jump in here, you guys, because in Hartmonics, I have 4 really powerful questions that I ask people, and I like leaving out the word want, because you know, I love teaching conscious language, and want is a word that means not having. Okay, it's like you're constantly wanting. You'll never have it. You know, that's it doesn't take you in a forward motion when you want. And so one of the questions that I ask, and this is what I'm going to put out there for everybody, these 4 powerful questions are, number 1, what would you rather have instead? So if you're someone who's ill, okay, you're having difficulties with your illness or whatever, what would you rather have instead? So let's take pain. I love, you know, helping people with pain. That's a biggie. And so they're in pain, and I'll say, what would you rather have instead? And the person says to me, no pain. 90% of my clients that come to me, that's what they answer with. And I go, well, you're still focused on pain. So what would you rather have instead? What's the opposite of what you're experiencing right now that you don't, you know, this is not your heart's desire to have this experience, right? So what would you rather have instead? And so they'll come up with a word. And so let's say, and I've heard this one say serenity. And then I ask, well, is serenity healthy for you? Well, yeah, serenity's healthy for me. Okay, great. So if serenity's healthy for you, what's the adverse consequence to you having it? And they go, well, there's no adverse consequence to me being in Serenity. And so the fourth biggie question is, then why don't you have it? Okay? What is it? Why are you in this pain? Okay? Because if you'd rather have Serenity on a daily basis, why don't you have it? So you go back, you have to go back to what's the adverse consequence to you having what your heart desires, what you'd rather have instead. And what happens there is many of us, the adverse consequence to us being well is maybe we won't get the attention that we're used to. Maybe, you know, like for me, I was, you know, for 4 years of my life, from when I was 11 till I was 16, I was sexually abused and beaten, and I was, you know, raped and everything else for all those years. And during that time, I had bronchitis, I had strep, and I also was paralyzed during that time. Now, was being sick at that time healthy for me? Absolutely. It's how I protected myself, because when I was sick, I wasn't abused. It was the best place for me to be, was to be paralyzed. Okay, so everybody left me alone. So we really have to find out, are we still carrying that with you today? So that question, what's the adverse consequence to me being well? Like today, would being paralyzed be healthy for me? No, not anymore, because I'm not in that situation anymore. But find those adverse consequences that are holding you back from having your heart's desire, having what you'd rather have instead. There's so many things that we choose over having what we're saying that we would rather have. Because guess what? Mm-hmm. There's some protection there. There's a thing that's there that you actually are caring for yourself, but you got to recognize whether that's serving you today or if it's no longer serving you, and then move on, okay? Because you can.
And I think that, excuse me, I think that actually takes us to the point that Sunita brought up a little earlier about, and you kind of talked about it too, taking responsibility. You know, because a lot of times we don't want to admit that we have caused ourselves harm for a greater good. You know, like that situation, you know, I had strep. I had, you know, I was paralyzed, and it was healthy for me at that point in time, but what would it take for you to take responsibility for whatever your situation is right now, and then add to that the additional responsibility to say, I accept it, it is what it is, it got there how it got there, I have choice now. And isn't that what you were trying to say? I have choice now. And Sunita, I know that that's one of the conversations that you have with a lot of people. It's your choice. You know, someone can help you when you're ready to help yourself. And you said you had a tool that you use to kind of try and draw this information out of people so that you can have a benchmark place to start the conversation around responsibility, and then being able to see where you can help someone.
Right.
What do you use? What are you beginning to use more of now?
Well, I'm getting more people say they don't want to know. They're shirking responsibility, actually. But in my search to help my son, I just want to give a 2-minute background so that people understand where I'm coming from. In my search to help my handicapped son stay well, because of the cerebral palsy, his body is muscularly tight. He doesn't have a balance of action with his muscles. So he's got a 6-pack to die for, but he's never been to the gym because he's always tightening his muscles. And that causes constipation. A lovely subject, I know, but it is a very important subject because we have a lot of people in this country that are fighting that on a daily basis because of daily stress and schedules and not having enough time to just sit on the potty and do your thing. So how do you take care of a child that can't tell you anything? He can't explain anything to you. He can't even say yes or no to simple questions that you ask him. How do you make sure that he's going to potty every day? And in my search for a solution from the medical community, it was too harsh. It was just something I was not going to even try on him. So I went into the nutritional side of things, and I went through about 15 different companies before I landed on the one that we are working with now. And they've been around for 20 plus years, and their products are working on my son. So I'm sticking to my story on that. You know, if they work on him, a nonverbal patient, and he's got no side effects, he's got perfectly good blood work and health and blood pressure and cholesterol, everything is just fine on him, whereas he should be in pain and in a very tight position, and he's not. Obviously, I'm doing something right for him physically. So I did some more research and said, okay, what is it that this company's got going for them that I should make and share with everybody else? Well, they make available to us a science that started out as a $6 million, grant to a university, that $100 million worth of research later is now this small little device that in the span of 30 seconds, I give you feedback on whether your cells have been nourished for the past 6 weeks. Have you been eating right? Have you been sleeping enough? Have you been exercising? Have you been in the calm part of your life? Have you been relaxed so that your body is not stressed? If your antioxidant score is low, you're in deep doo-doo. You're bucking for trouble. You're already sick. You have issues. You're not eating right. If your score is really, really high, then the likelihood of you getting a problem is very, very low. And literally, I personally believe that if you get your antioxidant scores high enough, the only thing that's going to kill you is boredom or a catastrophe, because your body can survive on a very good, healthy diet and exercise and sleep. So if we have this wonderful little test and I offer it to people, they look at me straight in the face and say, I don't want to know. And you know why they say that, right? You know
they have to take responsibility for what they find out.
They know. They already know they're being bad. Because the second I say to them, I can tell you, don't talk to me about how all the vegetables you ate yesterday or the McDonald's you had this morning. That doesn't matter. This literally measures your cell structure to see if you've been behaving for 6 weeks. So it's a history. And it has been clinically been proven to be better than blood work, better than urine test, and better even than a biopsy, because the biopsy doesn't reach deep enough, whereas this machine does. And it's doing it non-invasively. It's not hurting you any. There's no pinprick or poking or nothing. But people just are so used to just going on in life and not having to take responsibility or take, the stand at saying, yes, I'm going to make a difference in my life, and they just have this attitude that they're entitled to be taken care of.
Yeah. And may I just want to add to that, what's really important here as far as taking responsibility for yourself, do you know what that has to do with? Breathe deep into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday. That's taking responsibility. Loving yourself. When we start caring for ourselves and doing things that are healthy for us, that's our body responds in a healthy way because we are caring for ourselves. And this is what Sunita is telling us. Educare. She's educating us on caring for ourselves, because when we take responsibility and listen and become aware how we aren't taking care of ourselves, possibly, bringing that awareness that, gosh, I could take better care of myself.
Yep.
And we start doing that. Instead, don't give yourself a hard time like you're a bad person or
right, exactly,
doing any good thing, because that hurts you more than you not, the other.
Yeah.
If you eat a chocolate cake, enjoy it, love it, all of that. Do not give yourself a hard time, because it's giving yourself a hard time that hurts you, not the chocolate cake.
Well, you know what my husband says? Eat everything in moderation.
Yes.
And in our house, we have no artificial sweeteners. We don't use margarine. We use butter. We use clarified butter even more because that has the fatty part of the butter removed that we don't want, which is cholesterol. And we use olive oil and almond oil. And I'm not shy about frying foods because he doesn't eat a whole plateful. He has this much. So it's in a quantity that he eats occasionally. So he's enjoying his meal. It's one time a day that he can sit down and not be rushed and not have to answer the phone. He wants to eat what he wants to eat. And it works. He's been slim and trim all his life. And when you talk about, working from the heart, one thing I've done for him, which has nothing to do with food or health, I pick out his ties and his shirts, and they match. And he's the most well-dressed guy in the hospital because his patient's like, Dr. Pandit, you look so good today. Where'd you get that tie? He sheepishly has to tell everybody, my wife picked it up for me. So even the little thing about picking out a matching shirt and tie for him and having that available makes a world of difference.
And that's the same, that's that love that we're sharing with each other. Just like when we're cooking the food and we put our love into it, how much better it tastes. What's your mom? I always hear, gosh, I remember my mom making this. No, nothing can taste like my mom's food. And it might not have been the best cooked, but something about that love that was put in there. And I'm telling you, even though you can't see it, love is unseen. You can't measure it, but it is the most valuable thing in this whole wide world because, humanity is motivated by love. And you know what? Nothing would exist without it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like the sweet aroma that you smell while you're doing something and it kind of makes you look up. It's the thing that you hear in the background that even though you're concentrating on something, it makes you look up and say, maybe that favorite song. It's the thing that really goes to the core. Your heart is speaking to you. And I think that, you can tell the people that live in their hearts and have those kinds of relationships because, honestly, I believe that those are the happier people. Those are the people that, walk around and look at other people and smile, and those are the people that are really taking responsibility for making a difference in the world by doing what they're doing, being themselves. And we didn't even get into that whole conversation around, the authenticity piece of it. And I think that, how we feel about ourselves is really the foundational thing about how healthy we are, how unhealthy we are, how we treat other people. It is all us looking in the mirror and that's speaking to us to say, this is how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, if you're not harmonized with your heart, it's tough to be able to function in normal fashion. And I keep on telling my husband, I said, when people come in and they see you for the first time, it's a major wake-up call for them and they got all these things that they have to change. What if we offered them some baby steps? What if we said to them that the first week, just change one major thing? Don't change your whole life all at one time. It's not going to work. You're going to drive yourself nuts and the family nuts and your friends nuts, and you're not going to be able to work or function. Take it one baby step at a time. And, with the 5 tips that I'm going to be sharing with your audience, one of the things that we didn't get a chance to touch upon is that when you go to a doctor, if it's not your primary care, it's a specialist. You've been sent there by your primary care physician. You don't just pick up and go to a specialist. Nobody comes to us just for the heck of it or to say hello to my husband, except the drug reps, of course. You want to go there with a mission in mind that I have a problem. You need to know what the problem is. And when you arrive, if you really want your doctor to succeed with you, you not only need to know what medication you're on, in whatever procedures you've had in the past. I don't care what they are. Don't worry about whether they're related to the heart or not. Everything gets affected by each other. So make sure the doctor is aware of everything that's happened to you. And also, you need to make sure that you, in your mind, yourself, have to be clear on what questions you want to ask the doctor. Because if you don't ask the questions, they're not going to tell you. We are living in a day and age where doctors have very limited time with the patient. And you got to make sure you get the most out of your time with the doctor. Make sure you have your list of questions. And if you think you don't have any, ask your family, ask your friends, what should I ask the doctor? Let them help you, guide you into asking questions so that you walk out of there with a plan of action you can work with.
Awesome. Well, right now I want to honor the time of our guest and everybody who's here, you know, joining us on the show and everything. You have talked about a couple different things here that you have to offer everybody, and we have a link that we're going to give out for these things. So you said you had prepared something, what was it, how to help your doctor succeed?
Yes, it's a PDF file that I'll be sharing with everybody, and it has the questions in there and how to prepare yourself so that you make it a partnership with the doctor, that the doctor's not flying solo and trying to figure everything out. The more you get active and promote yourself with your information, the better your results you're going to get.
Beautiful. And what are the 5 tips?
As I said, make sure you know what your prescriptions are.
Okay.
Make sure you know why you're going there. Oh, and by the way, with the prescriptions, there's a lot of people they know what they're taking, but they don't know why. Make sure you understand and learn why you were put on that prescription. And as a best advocate for yourself, make sure you understand that if somebody adds another prescription, ask them, does this interact with what I'm taking already? Because people don't ask, they end up with 20 different pills they're taking and they lose count on why they're doing what. Because there's too many symptoms that are getting masked over. Second thing is to be aware of why you're going to this particular physician and what kind of questions need to be asked of that physician. Your own physician that sent you there should be able to help you, and then if you have your family and whoever's helping take care of you, ask those questions. Pay attention to what the doctor is saying. Ask questions while you're with the doctor. If there's a decision to be made about something and you're having trouble deciding, I played this trick to my own doctors when I needed them. If I were your sister, what would you do for me? What that does for the doctor is takes it from this relationship that's like this, you know, I'm the doctor and you're the patient, and it brings it down to this. Because now you're saying, put me into your world. And if I were in your world, what would you do for me? It levels the playing field a little bit. Because
bring more heart.
It's
more
very
heart.
Yeah, put them in the hard place of the heart. And you yourself need to walk in the door coming from your heart that I'm here to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not walking in there a lump on a log saying, okay, take care of me.
Taking that responsibility for yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome. And so we have a link for you, and also, so what?
Oh, the other thing, when people go to that link, what it is a little survey from SurveyMonkey, and I'm offering people that if they want to spend a few minutes with me to talk about some issues they have personally, you know, this is not something that I'm going to get into any medical information or anything, but the only topic that I would like people to come to me with is anything that related to stress. Because there are some products I use to reduce my stress that are non-toxic. You know, anybody can use them. There's no side effects or anything. And they're products that I use on my son and my own family. And so we can discuss the possibility of them using that as an option.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So that link, we're going to, a little bit different here. Lynn, I'm going to look for the link. If you can kind of start wrapping things up so we can let everybody kind of honor their time and stuff and fulfill Sunita, and I'll get the link up for everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, we just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sunita, for coming and bringing Mrs. Cardiology to us, for sharing with us just who Mrs. Cardiology
Are we?
is, the caring in the world. Ah, yeah, I'm just talking away. Can you not hear me?
We lost you for a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to say thank you to our audience for being here. Thank you for Mrs. Cardiology for being here with us. I know that also you've got on track to begin soon, within the next few weeks, the Red Hearts Club.
Oh, yes. Yes, it'll be a core club of information and all sorts of stuff we're going to do that's going to be fun. No fuddy-duddy stuff here.
Fun, stress relieving, and you know, it's just so important for everybody to connect in community where they feel so they have connected, and I know that that is what your intention is with building the Red Heart Club.
Oh, by the way, the Red Heart Club includes time in my red kitchen. Yeah, my kitchen is red.
Now that's place to be the red kitchen. But the thing that Mrs. Cardiology about was some of the specialty meals that she fixes. Mm-hmm. And she's going to really spice up the Red Heart Club with some of those recipes. And if you are also a foodie, I'm sure she'd let you share some of yours.
Exactly.
So,
our goal is to make sure everything is heart healthy.
So I'm coming to Pittsburgh or Philly, wherever you are up there in PA.
Philadelphia's on the other side of the world. We're in Pittsburgh.
Awesome.
Remember, you got to wear black and gold here with this. We're all Steeler fans here, so you got to wear black and gold.
All right, I like the Steelers better than some of those teams. my team's the Ravens, so I might just be in purple.
Okay. We'll forgive you.
Okay, everybody. So I just want to let everybody know, formally, as far as through the voice here, you can go to the web address, bit.ly. It's a bit.ly address, which is bit.ly/Mrs. Card Sesh. So it's MRS C as in cat ARD SESH. So bit.ly/MRS CARDSESH. And I put that in the link in the comment section of the event that you're watching here today. So
yeah, my son created that short link. He kept on thinking Mrs. Cardiology session, so he shortened it to Mrs. Card Sesh. I'm like,
there
okay.
You go. Perfect. I was wondering what that was, so thanks for clarifying that.
Session with Mrs. Cardiology. Yeah.
Nice. And so, what are they getting with that link? And that's in the
session? If they give me either their email, a Skype link, or a phone number, I'll connect with them and give them, 5-10 minutes of my time to nudge them in the right direction with their stress issues.
And also, they'll receive that.
Yeah, they will receive a PDF. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to let Lynn say our goodbyes. And the last thing I'm going to say is breathe deep into your heart and love yourself more today than you did yesterday. We are so happy to have you here and joining us and taking the adventure into your heart to discover you.
Thank you.
Now, who can say anything after that?
Thank you.
Besides, thank you. Thank you, Sunita Pandit, Mrs. Cardiology, for being on the show with us tonight. It's truly been a pleasure to hang out with you. And we're going to have you back on the show sometime soon, and we're going to make sure that you have a camera so that we can really see you. And
I will have it all set perfectly ahead of time.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
We're losing you again.
Good, and you know that I say, you know that when you have us by your side, things will be right there, perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
And Sunita, do you have any last words?
Breathe from your heart. Live from your heart. Get harmonized. It'll help. It literally will help a multitude of people if you get yourself harmonized first.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
For doing what you're doing. Because of you guys, I'm going to be able to do what I need to do.
Oh, thank you so much, Sunita. Thanks for saying that. I mean, that's absolutely what Heart Ventures are all about.
You know what? I need to buy a hat. I need to buy both of you a hat with a feather in it. A red feather in the hat for both of you. That's in the works.
Lovely. Well, Lynn, I'm gonna jump back in here because we're having technical difficulties
on the next show.
So I'm just gonna say good night and thank you so much. We love you and thanks for joining us, and we look forward to our next show next week. You know, every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern, and next week it's going to be Lynn and I. We're going to be bringing in a lot of information about relationships, and that's what the Heart Ventures are all about. And so I really appreciate everyone being here, and just have a fabulous day. Sleep well, live well, breathe well, and be in your hearts. As Lynn always says, and since we can't hear her very well right now, she says, open hearts, open hearts. Thank you all.
Night, everybody. Bye.
Night.